Hey guys, welcome back to Reporting for Duty. I'm your host, A Train, and joining me is my co-host, Janelle West Coast. What
Hello.
what's up, Janelle?
Oh gosh, not
Whoa! It's too early. It's too early for this. Oh my god, this is amazing. How did you pull that off?
I was waiting for the right moment. I was looking for
Oh shit. Too much.
I was looking for a fall background, and I thought, well, it's October, so here, Halloween time.
I'm so glad I did not take a drink right before that popped up.
I wish you would have.
Oh my God. Speaking of, yeah, I was like, man, we got to start thinking about Halloween. We got to come on here with a costume on.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. But this costume's pretty awesome. Oh, you're too much.
Oh, I was playing around with them earlier. I'll switch around as we go.
Oh shit.
Oh,
Well, I
cute.
got Clint Boyer behind me. He looks like he hasn't had his V8 today. He's a little crooked.
What's up, Clint?
Clint wanted to join us, so he's our first guest.
Oh, not a man of many words, huh?
No, he's not gonna probably say a lot.
Oh,
Poor
that's great.
fella.
So, how's your week? How was your week? So it's Monday morning, having coffee.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean things are good. My dad has some heart issues. He's had multiple stents, bypass. He had some issues this week, but and he was in the hospital. But it sounds like they're just gonna try changing some medication. They keep talking about putting a pacemaker in, and I'm like, well, let's just do it. I don't know why they're not. He's clearly on the edge of needing one, so I don't know. I'm always like, play it safe, put it in. Let's just be prepared.
yeah,
But
like why wait until an emergency situation takes place?
yeah, and then Sam and I went for a motorcycle ride on Saturday, and that was awesome. We went to. Have you ever been to Weston, Missouri?
Oh gosh, yes. That's one of my favorite places.
Dude, it's so awesome. And
Yeah.
I've been wanting to take her there to show her, just the area. I wanted to scope it out more or less. So, because I hadn't been there for probably 20 years. And I wanted to scope it out for when the leaves start to change, because that's a great time to drive through that area. It's so
Mhm.
beautiful. Well, anyway, we come rolling in to Weston and they're like, park here, $10. And these are like houses. They're selling parking spots in their driveways. And I was like, man, I wonder, that's weird. What's going on? And as you turn into Weston, like to the downtown area, you're at the top of this hill looking down. And we come around that corner, and there must be, I don't know, 5,000 people at the bottom of the street.
What?
Yeah. So it's the first weekend of October every year they do their Apple Fest,
Oh,
and so
fun.
that's what was going on when we showed up. But holy crap, it was funny because it looked like a herd of zombies down there because we were so high. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it was crazy. But yeah, that's about it. What have you been
Have you
doing?
ever, oh,
Go ahead.
well,
What's your
back to
question?
Weston, have you
Yeah.
been to the pub then, right? The
Yep.
underground. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. We actually went in there yesterday and checked it out. Yeah, that
Yeah.
place is so cool. Yeah, the last time I was there literally was like 20 years ago. So, I was my early 20s, so I was probably 22 or 23. And oh man, we tore up that town because you can get sauced.
Yeah. And you
I
don't
mean,
have far to walk anywhere. It's such a small
no.
little place.
Yeah, it's like frozen in time, that
Hmm.
place. And then actually the first place we walked into, they sold slushies, and they had a apple, what was it? Apple cinnamon, I think is what it was, slushy, but it had bourbon in it. It
Yum.
was really good, really good. But I could only have one because I was riding a motorcycle.
Oh, yeah.
So I had one of those, then we walked around for a few hours, and
That's
and
awesome.
thank God I was on the motorcycle because there was all kinds of stuff we wanted to buy, but there was no way to bring it back. So if we'd have been in the car, we probably would have spent a fortune.
There you go.
But yeah, it's a cool place.
Yes, it is. The first time I ever went, my dad took me there for my 21st birthday. Um,
Mm.
and it was just a little day trip on a Saturday afternoon. And I remember he left his camera. That was back before cell phones. So he actually accidentally left his digital camera in a restroom there and was just sick about it. And somebody had turned it in somewhere and he got it back. So
They
yeah,
found you?
no, we had left. He had called around to different places. He thought he may have left it. But somebody did turn it in, and I just remember him being like, "This is another reason I love this place. It's just
Yeah.
such a wholesome, like you said, frozen in time little town."
Yeah, it's super cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought when you said they found it, I was thinking maybe they went through the pictures and tracked you guys down that way. But he
Oh no.
called and
Yeah.
found it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Because that happened. We were floating the Salt River in Arizona, and my one buddy, well, his name's Steve, which is funny because on all these float trips we would go on, he had snorkeling gear on, and instead of sitting in his tube floating, he would float down the river with his head in the water the whole way down, and he'd find all kinds of shit: sunglasses, radios, cameras, money. I mean, all kinds of shit. And one year he found this video camera. Well, it was a waterproof one. So, and you got to understand, like, that's not something you just like turn in. There's bazillion people that go there. And so we took it home, charged it, and it powered on. And so we started going through and taking like screenshots of the people that were in it and posted it on social media, hoping to track down who it belonged to. Now, the sad part of the story is we never did find out who it was, but it was crazy that that camera still turned on after being in the bottom of that river.
Heck yeah, that would have been a way better story if you'd actually found the
I
thing.
know, I know. And then we're on a traffic stop one day, and I call for backup. He comes walking up. He's wearing the sunglasses that he found at the bottom of the river. I'm like, oh God, Steve, Scuba Steve. That's what we called him.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyway, back to the 21st birthday in Weston.
Yeah, nothing. I really wasn't feeling well. Found out, we went to the vineyard there and did wine tastings, and I found out a few weeks later I was pregnant. So,
Oh yeah,
good thing I didn't go too crazy.
yeah,
So,
yeah. They had like, I think it said 25 cents yesterday for to do a sample. So I mean, you could do samples all day really cheap and be sauced.
oh yeah, and then is it McCormick
Yep,
that's there, and you can go into that McCormick store downtown and
yep.
go take shots and stuff.
Yep, we went in there. I bought 3 bottles, just the shot bottles, the short
Mm-hmm.
ones, of different flavors to try. And then next time if we find one we like, I'll next time we're there buy a big bottle. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a cool place. And I
It
didn't
is.
know that distiller McCormick's distillery's there.
Yeah, just right there outside of
Yeah,
town.
I didn't know that. Like that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
bet
you don't really hear about it.
I bet 90% of the community probably works there.
Oh, sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd never thought about where McCormick's would be, but I sure as hell never would have guessed Weston, Missouri. You know,
Yeah,
so crazy. And then we drove by the Leavenworth Penitentiary on the way, and
that's exciting.
that's crazy, man. When you drive by there, think about what's really in there. There's
Yeah.
some bad people in there, like Tom Bird, murder
Oh,
ordained in Emporia, the guy that pastor that killed his wife. He's he
yeah.
he's in there. I wonder when he gets out.
I feel like
Because didn't the what was the chick he was
Lorna Anderson.
isn't she out?
I feel like I thought one or both of them was.
Okay, let's look. Is Tom Bird
Yeah, that story hits close to home for me. That
Killed his wife. Okay, so the Kansas Parole Board on Friday, which this article's May 23rd, 2004, granted parole to Tom Bird, who has served 20 years of a life sentence for killing his wife, Sandy.
he was paroled in 2004.
That's when this article is from.
Hmm.
So he's been out a
Oh,
while.
wow. Hmm. Wonder where
That's
he went.
so crazy because they murdered is it Lorna? Didn't they murder
So,
her husband?
yeah,
So they
her
murdered
husband
two
and his wife.
so they murdered two people and served 20 years, and now they're out just doing whatever the hell they want. Think about that.
Hmm.
And so why did it hit close home to you?
Oh, well, so, and I won't get too far into it because I don't know who our viewers are and I don't want to talk too much about
Well,
it.
we don't have to talk about it at all if you don't want
Yeah,
to.
no, my ex-father-in-law was depicted in that movie.
Really?
Hmm.
Yeah, there was a bunch of people
Hmm.
well, not depicted, but that play or that were in that movie, like as extras.
Well, and there were a lot of people in this community that are still here that we were friends with or, members of that church and or
Yeah,
involved in also having affairs
yeah,
with
yeah.
yeah.
I guess we should say, because we're talking, because we know the story, but for those listening, this happened in Emporia, Kansas, and the
In the
pastor,
80s, I believe.
yeah, the pastor of the church there, or one of the churches, his name is Tom Bird, and he was married, and then he started dating the secretary at the church,
And
uh,
she
Lo-
was married.
Lorna. What was her last name?
Anderson.
Yeah, Lorna Anderson, and she was married, and so they made this whole plot to kill him. So they killed Tom's wife. They made it look like they killed her. Then they put her in the driver's seat of her car and drove her off this bridge down into this river. Tried to make it look like a car accident. And I don't remember now. It's been so long. I'd have to go back and watch the movie, like how they figured it out. I think the seat was all the way back, and she's short, and so the seat should have been forward. Just there was some things that tipped him off. And
Hmm.
then Lorna and her husband were coming back from a trip somewhere. They pretended to break down. Or no, she pretended to be sick. That's what it was, right? I think
I
she
don't
was
know for sure.
yeah, I think she was pretending that she was sick or going to throw up and got her husband to pull over, but she had it all planned out where the location where he pulled over, there was a dude sitting there waiting. So who was the dude
Interesting.
that killed her husband? Was it Tom?
I don't think they ever knew for sure.
Yeah, see, I don't think so either. But
Hmm.
anyway, that's kind of the story. And
Hmm.
they ended up getting busted and going to prison.
Hmm. And kind of a, yeah, big story here in Emporia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Hmm.
So what else?
Um,
You were telling me something you wanted to wait, but about an app or something.
oh,
Oh, and you wanted to talk about a funeral. So which one
oh
do you want to
yeah.
do first?
Well, oh yeah, so I went to a funeral this weekend. A past special needs client that I used to take care of. I believe he was 70, maybe 72. I don't know. The flyer didn't say correctly, and I'll talk about that. But and I don't want to be disrespectful or anything, but oh my gosh, Adam, I wish you could have been there. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. So, um, a little backstory, you have to understand this
This is
guy
already starting good. I don't want to be disrespectful at a funeral or about a funeral.
but so you have to understand this man, he's nonverbal, cerebral palsy,
Mm.
plus intellectually disabled. And I helped take care of him for I think almost a couple of years. And he was his own guardian and had had some family that was involved years ago, but nobody calls him, sends him letters, comes to visit him, nothing. It's just the agency and the staff people.
Mm.
that he's become close with over the years. So I don't work there anymore, but we were contacted and they let us know that he had passed away and invited us to the funeral. So two other friends of mine that used to work there with me, we went together. And so the agency had to reach out and let the family know he had passed away, and they kind of took over planning the funeral. So as we're pulling up, first of all, it's in Burlington, Kansas, at like the community, some sort of community building out by like the soccer fields, baseball fields. So
Mm-hmm.
we were confused. We didn't know that we were even in the right place. So we're pulling in and there's like soccer games and stuff going on, and Maps is taking us to this building, and we don't recognize anyone because we've never seen his family before. And so we're pulling in and we can kind of see that there are cars lining up, parking in lines. And there's this guy out there directing traffic. And he comes up to my window and tells me I need to pull up further. Or he's like, "Who are you with?" And I'm like, "Are we at the right? Is this a funeral?" And it's like, "Yeah, who are you with?" I'm like, "Me?" Like,
The
what am I
CIA.
not following? So he wanted to know which agency we were with, because they were lining up the cars for the procession later
Mm.
based on who you were with.
Right.
And so I'm like, fuck, I don't really want to get stuck, because so I was trying to leave space in between the car in front of me and behind me because I wanted to be able to bail if I wanted to, because it was looking a little bit sketch. The people, again, just imagine like a big white trash party. Sorry, I'm just gonna say it. And no disrespect, just trying to paint a visual. So I'm trying to leave space between myself and the car in front of me because I want to be able to leave when I want to leave, because I don't know what the fuck is happening here. And he's like kind of being aggressive, telling me I need to move forward. And I'm looking at the friends in the car and I'm like, who is this guy? She's like, pretty sure that's the nephew. I'm like, oh, that's nice. So I park, I get out of the car, and I very assertively go up to him to ask who he is. Who you with?
Yeah, who you
You.
with?
Who are you? Right? Like, I took care of your uncle. Like, I've taken a fecal sample. I have slept in a hotel room with this guy during COVID, taking care of him. Like, who the fuck are you? So, like, do you know what your uncle's shit smells like? Because I took care of him, and but anyway. So you have all of this family that they literally haven't seen this man in years. I mean, years, 5+ years. And now they're all putting on this show, acting like they ever cared. So it was really hard for all of us, for starters, to be around that. So we go into this building and they have tables set up, and they're decorated in different holidays. So like there was a Valentine's Day table, a St. Patrick's Day, Christmas, 4th of July, and I'm like, that's interesting decorations, and it looks like a kind of like a church hall or something where you would sit around and have lunch. And so we're kind of like, you could see there was food over here. And so we saw some of the other clients and people that we knew, and we were saying hi, and we're like, what's going on here? Like, what are we supposed to do? They're like, we have no idea. So they did the food before the ceremony, which is fine. It's fine. Traditionally, that's not how it goes, but it's
Right.
fine, whatever. So they the nephew, he goes walking around and he's handing out the flyers with all the information about, date of death, date of birth, all of that. And one of the other ladies comes up to me and she's like, look at this. Like, literally none of this is right. Like, this is not when he was born. This is not when he died. None of this information is right. And so, like,
What?
oh, okay, well, that's kind of weird, but okay. So we all just sit down at tables, and then somebody stands up and says, we can all go get food. And so we go get food, and I'm like, who made the food? Like, is anybody else going to actually eat? Like, is it safe? And someone's like, well, I think it kind of came with the deal. There was a church or someone who made the food. So um we
I'm
all
waiting on you to say you were at the wrong funeral.
Oh no, and they had a video, playing kind of over in the corner with some pictures and things, and they had taken all of his belongings, like every coloring he had ever done and all of his hats and everything, and kind of laid them out and displayed them over and on the other side of the building. And so everyone kind of eats, and then we're just all sitting there like, okay, like, are we doing a ceremony? His urn was sitting there. Um, and every once in a while, the nephew or one of the aunts would get up and say, okay, well, um, everybody, we're going to read this poem together. So just remember, when we get to that point, open up your pamphlets and we're going to read this poem. And we're like, okay. And literally, we're just all sitting there in silence, waiting for someone to direct whatever's happening. And so then a little bit later, the lady that had pointed out that the pamphlet was wrong, she's like, so I pointed it out to the nephew and we're waiting on new pamphlets. And I had made a joke like, oh, well, I mean, everyone's shit out of luck. Like, what are they going to do? Make new ones?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, they did. They
Oh,
got a hold of the funeral home and let them know that the pamphlets were wrong and demanded that they bring us new ones. And I'm like, son of a bitch, I'm stuck in a line out there. I can't leave. I've been here for over an hour, and now we all have to sit here and wait for the new pamphlets. And literally just sitting there, nothing's happening. So I'm sitting at the Valentine's Day table,
eating
just
shit food.
eating shit food. And we're just like, how are we gonna get out of here? What are we gonna do? And so we all wait around, and I have to give credit to the funeral home because it only took them on a Saturday afternoon at a moment's notice. They came and they delivered these new pamphlets. But the weird thing prior to that was that the nephew went around all the tables and he was collecting the old ones. I'm like, what is happening? This is before we knew what was happening. I'm like, what is happening? Why is he taking those? And so I like stick all of ours in my purse. I'm like, I don't want to give mine away. But I
Right.
didn't know until later that he was collecting all of the old ones to then bring out the new ones.
Holy shit.
And so then we get the new pamphlets, and the lady says that she's going to play the song Silent Night because that was his favorite song. And I could have sworn I heard her say we were all going to sing it together. And so I was looking at my friend next to me, and I'm like, if I start crying, it's not because I'm sad right now. It's because I'm laughing so hard on the inside that I just cannot keep the tears from coming out of my eyes because everything was so funny. So I'm like, you guys, we're gonna sing Silent Night. Like, how cool is that? Like, we're sitting at Valentine's table. We get to sing Silent Night together. They're like, we're not singing it. I'm like, I swear that's what she said. I swear it is. And so we didn't all have to sing it, but we listened to the song Silent Night. And then the lady decided she would just read the poem herself instead of all of us reading the poem together. And then she got on the microphone and she said, there's a video playing over in the corner. So if anybody wants to see it, help yourself. And we're like, that's like an hour and a half in,
Right.
like it was just the most disorganized, weird thing. So there was no ceremony. Uh, and then she read the little poem, and then everyone sat there, and then she said, if anybody wants any of his things, you can go get them. So all their family goes running like vultures, and they take everything, and they're all just leaving.
Wow.
And then she comes around with some roses over to where we're sitting, and she's trying to pass out roses to the people who have taken care of him. And so she goes to hand my friend next to me a rose, and she's getting ready to hand me one. And she goes, wait a minute, who are you? And a lady over at the other side of the table, she goes, oh, they're old staff. She goes, oh, old staff. And she snatches the flower back and doesn't let us have flowers because we're not the current staff. And
Wow.
And then everybody was leaving, and she took, one of those big, like, beautiful flower arrangements that's on one of those
Mm-hmm.
easels. There's this beautiful flower arrangement, had to have cost someone hundreds of dollars. She grabs it off the easel and she's carrying it around and she's picking flowers and asking everybody. So all the people who just took all the hats and all the ties and all the everything, they're all like trying to get flowers off this thing. And so then they were all going to go out to a graveside something or other. I'm like, I'm fucking out. I'm done. And I'm like, and that is why I left space in front of me, because I'm going to maneuver my way out of this line and I'm not going to drive with the procession. And I did too. Got outside, got in my car and pulled forward and shimmied my way out, backed out, and we took off.
Fuck you and your flowers.
Oh gosh, it was just so hard to be there and watch, because the whole time I just wanted to be like, where the fuck have you been? Like,
Yeah.
how dare you? 5+ years that you haven't even seen him and act like you care. So
Yeah.
it
Now
was
he's so important.
it was way funnier. You had to be there.
Oh no, it's funny. Especially with the fucking pirate hat on.
It's just one of the holidays, you know?
You're sitting here trying to tell this serious story and you're dressed like a Captain Jack Sparrow.
Is it too much?
No, it's awesome. Fucking walk the plank.
Oh, so the app I was telling you about. So that's enough about that. That took up my whole Saturday afternoon. And I'm like, man,
You're not bitter.
I'm not bitter.
But death and family are crazy, dude. Like that brings out the worst in
The
people.
worst. It can
Yeah.
bring out the best or
Yep.
the worst,
Yep.
right? And
Nope.
whoever
You're right.
you are as a person is revealed during death, right?
Right.
Like if you're a really, really good person, but maybe people don't know how good you are, it's going to be revealed in death. If you're a really terrible person and maybe nobody knows for sure that you are, they're going to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's funny you brought up that flower, uh, the big flower arrangement because we were talking about that here recently, and I'm just like, if I die, don't be sending that
Mm-mm.
shit. I mean, what a waste of money. Like if you're dying to like give money, I don't know, start a fund for my kids' college, but
Mm-hmm.
those big flower things are ridiculous.
No, and don't, I've told my son, like, don't you dare have a funeral for me at a funeral home or a church with the very cliche, everyone's the pamphlets or the whatever look exactly the same, and
Right, right.
some mundane thing. Like I want to have like an outdoor um party with like really pretty lights and karaoke, and I
Or
want it to
or
be,
down in the cellar at McCormick's.
yes, yes. I want to have a celebration.
Your fucking hat blinks.
We agree, right?
R.
But
Uh,
yes, I don't want people spending. I had seen something, somewhere over the years, is like, don't buy me flowers for my funeral. Buy me flowers while I'm alive.
yeah, yeah. When I die, it's time to party
Mm-hmm.
for sure. All right, the app. I'm dying to hear about this app.
Yeah, so I was reading something last night, and it had mentioned this app called Be My Eyes, EYES.
Okay.
And someone had like taken a picture showing like their first transaction on Be My Eyes. And I read a little bit more about it. I'm like, this can't be fucking real. So I get on my app store and I find it. And I'm like, sure enough, this is real. So I signed up as a volunteer. So basically, it is an app for,
Well, you don't have both your fucking eyes. You got a patch on one.
it's an app for blind people where they can use their phone to call for help to these volunteers through this app. So like maybe they're in the grocery store and they need to buy a certain brand of almond milk or something.
Right.
And so they use the app and they get a volunteer on the phone with, and it's a video call, and they'll be like, hey, I'm trying to pick out almond breeze, which one do I grab? And then as the volunteer, you direct them and help them decide what to do and what to pick. And they're like, okay, thank you, whatever. Well, I haven't gotten a call yet. And I'm thinking there's like 5 million volunteers and only 400,000 blind people on the app.
Hmm.
But I'm thinking they probably can't see to use the app. Like how do they use it?
Good point.
How do blind people, there's not braille phones, are there?
Um,
Smartphone that can video?
I wonder if like, how would that work? You know how you put a screen protector over your screen and it's clear?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they can, maybe I shouldn't say this because maybe this is an
Because this might be a
invention.
$1 million idea that you need to invent.
Yeah, but think about it. You could put the braille on the clear screen. And so you know how the apps are lined up on your phone. Let me
Mm-hmm.
see. But you see how like the apps are, I don't know if that'll zoom, but you could put braille over each one.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Yeah,
you would have to know
how to swipe.
on kind of page one what's kind of there, but then you could find it with the braille to click on it. I don't know.
There
You
has
get
to
what
be,
I'm trying to say though.
I do. There has to be, surely when a blind person goes and gets a phone or something, maybe there's a way to set everything up on audio so they can just talk and just say,
Yeah, voice
hey,
activate.
phone, yeah, get
Yeah,
my Be My Eyes app up. I need to call a volunteer.
yeah, that would definitely make more sense than what I'm trying to do.
You're trying to do like early 2000.
Right, right. I'm a little slow. I'm no
Yeah.
Steve Jobs.
So I'm interested to see if I actually get utilized. And if there's an app for that, there's got to be an app for all sorts of other things that you could help or volunteer
Yeah,
doing something. I don't know.
man. Yeah, I could have used that. I was on a traffic accident one night, but they were deaf. And we ended up communicating through my phone. Like I would write out my question or, like I was texting and then they would write me back. But now I know they have an app that makes that a lot more streamlined.
Hmm. I know a little bit of sign language. Um, and so like I'm able to very slowly communicate with deaf people just with the alphabet. And I know a few signs, but knowing the alphabet's pretty rad, and it's actually helped me out
Mm-hmm.
before. But oh fuck, funny story. I completely forgot about this. So it happened here in Emporia years and years ago. I think I was with or maybe Devin's dad and I had just split up, and there was a guy in a Walmart aisle and he was deaf, and he was asking, or he was kind of motioning he needed help, and he carried a little notepad with him, and he had written that he was needing help doing something. And so I started signing because I knew how to sign, and he was just, whoa. And so he had asked me for my phone number. And he was kind of a good looking guy. And I'm like, well, this guy probably never gets phone numbers. Like, I'm just going to make him feel good, and I'm going to give him my phone number, and nothing's going to come of this. Right. Well,
Oh fuck.
so I get a phone call, and I don't know if you've ever used the, what's it called? Like the TTY.
Yeah.
Okay, the deaf line where there's
Yes.
actually a physical person who
Yes.
translates.
Well, I was going to tell you a story about this. So, and I guarantee yours is going to be a lot the same. So, yes, I know exact. They're like, you talk to the person just like they're there. Like you talk to me like it's them. Don't say, well, tell them. Just say
Right.
what you want to say.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's him, and there's a woman who's translating what he's saying. So it's like, hi, how are you today? And, would you like to go on a date sometime or whatever? So I'm like, you know, I couldn't even tell you what I had said or how many times we communicated, but I feel like we had like 3 different phone calls. Well, I kept not declining, right? Like, thank you so much, but no, I'm busy or I'm this or I'm that. Well, I get this like third or fourth phone call, and it's this translator, and um, he's like cussing me out, but it's this lady
Right.
saying, bitch, fuck you,
Yes.
fuck
Yes.
you, fuck off. I'm never going to call you again. And I'm like laughing and I'm telling her, like, this is so weird. I don't even know what to say. And so I'm like, okay, fuck off. Bye. Like, don't fucking call me again. I don't give a shit.
Oh my God.
It was so great.
No, that's what it does. That's what they do. So there was this individual that wanted to date my friend. She was deaf. And this was back when we didn't have cell phones yet. And so the service calls and they're like, okay, I'm so and so. I'm speaking on behalf of so and so. Just talk to me like I'm her. Don't just treat it. Just act like you're talking to her. Period. I'm like, okay. So the first thing she said something's like, "Hey, I'm really interested in your buddy," and I don't want to say his name, but
Right.
um, and so then my reply, I'm like, "Okay, well, tell her." And she goes, "No, no, no, just say what you want to say to her, how you would say it." So I'm like, "Okay," and then I'm like, all freaked out. I'm like, well, I don't know. I think he's interested in you. And but then she takes off. She's like, I want to fuck him. Yeah. And just started saying all this like really like naughty, dirty stuff. And this lady's just saying it like it's no big deal. And I'm like, what is happening? And and I keep saying, well, tell her. And she keeps correcting me. And I'm like, all freaking out. I'm like, it was so fucking weird. I mean, I'm talking to some other lady about how she wants to bang my buddy. I don't know. It
Can
was the
you
crazy
imagine what a great job that would be?
dude. The shit they hear. Holy fuck! I can't imagine. So
Oh,
how does that work on her end though? So
so
the
I think it's
person that's deaf, is she typing and
yeah,
then they read it?
yeah, I think they have like some sort of a video screen where they can read it. Like they have a
Interesting.
special phone.
Yeah.
This is before cell phones, so I think that, there was like a special phone that you would have.
Oh
Or
my
maybe I'm just
gosh.
dreaming this up, and that's what I would assume.
Yeah.
Oh, so great.
Yeah, that is great. Yeah, that would be a wild ass job.
Hmm.
I wonder if they ever have to report stuff. Surely there's a line that's crossed where they gotta maybe report authorities.
Well, probably if you're threatening
Yeah,
to hurt yourself or someone else, that's kind of the rule of thumb, right?
yeah, yeah.
God, I'd completely forgotten about that. That's so great.
That is great.
Oh, yeah. So,
What else? Oh, there was something else. Hang on, I had a list here. Oh, you said you wanted to talk about fentanyl.
yes, yes,
It's
yes,
funny you
yes.
bring that up because I had that conversation about fentanyl on Saturday, so I'll see what you say
Well,
first.
I had it this weekend as well because um I'm sure that you've seen and everybody who's listening has seen there's this huge, and I don't want to say fear mongering, but it feels that way. And it kind of, I saw a post the other day that was, warning people against Halloween, be
Right.
careful because you might be getting this new rainbow fentanyl that looks like candy or whatever, or looks like Skittles. And I'm like, if anybody gives me a Skittle in a baggie, I'm gonna be like, why are you giving me one Skittle? And where's the
Mm-hmm.
S? You
Where's
would
the
think
S?
people
That's
uh,
smart.
you would think people would be able to know or recognize, but then I had to stop and be like, okay, this is a real thing. I mean, I have friends who have had trainings on them at work, and it really is a problem, and I don't take it lightly. I mean, my son's dad died of a fentanyl overdose
Right.
because he thought he had an Oxycontin addiction, and he thought that that's what it was, and it was laced with fentanyl, and it killed him.
Hmm.
So I don't take it lightly, and I was kind of rolling my eyes every time I saw someone share one of these posts. I'm like, oh, here we go, something to be scared of. But I guess it's a real thing. And I thought, well, I probably should I think that my son and like his siblings and everyone's smart enough to know not to take anything that looks like that from anyone, but maybe they're not. So opened up a conversation with them, and I sent them all a message and shared one of the articles and was like, hey, I'm sure you guys have seen this, but please just don't be stupid and be
Hmm.
taking anything that you don't know what it is from anybody. So
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about it. Well, like, what are your thoughts on it as a police officer? Like, what's the problem? What's the solution?
Well, I mean, that's such a loaded question, but yeah, it's wildly dangerous. I watched a video, well, probably a couple months ago. Two officers were searching a vehicle, and one officer opens the trunk, and as soon as the trunk lid opens up, you kind of see him lean in, like to start a search, and then all of a sudden, like kind of stands up straight, eyes roll the back of his head, and he collapses. He's unconscious on the ground.
What?
Well, there was fentanyl in the trunk of this car, clearly probably a significant amount, although it doesn't really take much. He got a whiff of it, and it instantly stopped his heart, stopped his breathing, and luckily his partner had the wherewithal to recognize what was going on and kind of pulls the guy away while he's holding his breath, and then gets damn it, what's the thing they use to reverse opioids, the
Oh,
medication?
the Narcan?
Yeah, the grabs Narcan. Luckily, he had Narcan in the patrol car, and he hits him with one dose, and it really doesn't do anything. Hits him with a second dose, and he kind of starts to come back. And then I think he ended up hitting him with three total to get him like just kind of halfway back to reality, but he was still like pretty much KO'd. And then the ambulance came, hauled him off. Now, luckily, he ended up living. But point is, just a whiff, a split second whiff of that can drop you and
What?
kill you. Yeah, it's very like when it first started to become a thing. I mean, they were like, make sure you're wearing gloves. I mean, just a drop of it on your skin can just totally kill you. So it was a pretty big, or it was a big deal, is a big deal. It's a huge problem. Um, well, and the other, okay, before I go into how to maybe even fix it, it's wild because now fentanyl is a great drug used in the medical world when it's needed. And so people now, if they hear like they need fentanyl, their kid needs fentanyl, they like freak out. And I also want to let people know it's not a bad drug when it's used properly by, medical staff. So for example, some friends of ours, their son, he's probably 4 years old, had his tonsils taken out, and the doctor brought up, okay, well, we're going to get, treat him with some fentanyl. And the dad was like freaking out, like this is wildly dangerous. And long story short, the doctor talked to him. It's like, it's not, his wife is like, it's not, they know how to dose it, blah, blah, blah. Like my last spine surgery, they use fentanyl. It's a good drug
I've
because
had
it
it
also wears
before.
off quick. The half life of it is it's just it wears off pretty quick. But what I was going to tell you too is this is the craziest part of fentanyl, and it's all come to light this week. I don't even know how to spell this or how to say this. Protonazine is now a new synthetic opioid that they're finding all over. It's like 10 times stronger than fentanyl.
What?
So wrap your mind around that. It's 10 times stronger than fentanyl. Um, but they've started finding it in some of these random deaths where someone, thought they were just taking an oxy and it was laced with this. So not only is fentanyl bad, but now, fentanyl to us was, everybody just knew of it as the worst drug known to, or the most dangerous drug known to man. Well, now it's not. There's one that's even worse that's starting to crop up.
I guess I just can't wrap my brain around, like, if it's that dangerous, like where that officer, passed out from just taking a whiff from the trunk, like, how's it being produced and distributed
Without them dying?
without, yeah, or maybe they are, I don't know.
Yeah, I would suspect some of them probably are. But
Mhm.
yeah, they've got to be wearing some kind of protective gear. I mean, I've seen the overseas labs like in Mexico and Colombia. I mean, these are like the nastiest, and they're a ticking time, like a bunch of them are ticking time bombs. They're trying to play mad scientist with all this shit that's just like, it's literally a bomb.
That's so scary.
And so, how to combat all that, I don't know, because we've been trying, to combat it since well, who started it? Reagan, wasn't it President Reagan that was started the whole drug war? Just say no. I'm pretty sure it was him.
With like and then they had the DARE program. I remember
Yeah.
watching something about that, how like statistically that whole thing did nothing.
Yeah, well, and now it's like all this shit's coming from overseas, and they're it's coming across our border. So it leads back to what we talked about a few weeks ago. Like that's another reason to secure the border and know what's coming across. It's not because we're racist and don't want Hispanics from Mexico here, but we have to start doing something because that's where all this shit's coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
scary.
yeah, so to answer your question, until we secure that border, dude, it's not going to stop. Fentanyl's going to keep coming, cocaine's going to keep coming, all of
I mean, I'm okay with the cocaine, but
it. Oh my gosh.
let's not stop that.
Oh God. She's joking, folks.
Oh,
She's joking.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Or
Uh,
is she?
or am I? No,
Yeah,
but
I
kids,
so I don't know how to
don't
stop
take
it.
anything from strangers.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
don't do it.
Give it to your mom or dad to try first. If they drop, don't eat it. Call 911. Yeah,
Oh,
no, I mean, it is very true. It could happen. And there's some weird shit in this world right now. So I would not be shocked if we found out some dude in some state was distributing that shit and it was killing
mhm.
kids. There's some sick people out there right now.
There are some very sick people out there.
Well, the total off the subject. Sorry, I always bring up some news topic, but I read this morning that we've been monitoring Russia and Putin and how he's moving different weapons and stuff. Well, apparently he's this particular train that he transports nuclear weapons on is on the move now, headed towards Ukraine. So they seem to think that he's gonna try to drop a nuke any day on Ukraine, which if he does will be life changing for all of us. People don't realize how dangerous that situation is right now and what it could become. Literally, they have no. I mean, the Cuban Missile Crisis. I don't even remember it. I was too young. But you always hear people talk about how dangerous that situation is. Well, we're back not only to that same situation right now, but even worse. I feel like we're even further across the line than we were with that one. So I don't know, just crazy ass people. Smoke some weed, chill out. God dang.
Well, keep
60,000 Russian soldiers have died in Ukraine.
no,
60,000. Think about that. That's two or over two of Emporia. Like everybody in Emporia times
times
probably
two.
three. Because I don't
Yeah,
know what is Emporia, 20,000 people? I don't know,
20 or
25.
30.
But yeah, so it's either double or triple. Like an entire city gone. And that's just Russia. I mean, the Ukraine soldiers, they've lost probably just as many. I
Yeah, and
mean,
like I told
one.
you before, you'll just have to keep me posted because I don't read anything about it. And like you say, people don't understand how scary it is. I don't. Most people probably don't.
And I wonder too, like maybe it's best people don't have a clue. Because what are you gonna do? I mean, if nukes start flying,
Hmm.
there's not much you can do. Go to McCormick's and start drinking.
I'll meet you in Weston.
Yeah, yeah, that's our
That's our
go.
plan.
That's our plan.
Yeah.
Yes,
So as soon as you hear they're dropping nukes, call me.
I'll type. What's our code word gonna be? Operation Squirrel.
I wonder if you could call if I wonder if we could call. I want to try to call each other on that deaf phone line. Maybe we could communicate through there.
Oh God, you'll send me to Tennessee or something by accident. What a what a
Hmm.
day. And then okay, so there was that. I wanted to, and it's funny you brought up the fentanyl because I was like, man, I want to tell her about this new drug that's even worse.
Well,
Oh,
the fentanyl just pisses me off. But
yeah. Well, God, and they're putting it in cocaine even. It's like, damn, you think you're getting a batch of coke and it's laced with fentanyl. It's like, why you
God,
want to
are
kill
there
your
any
customer?
safe drugs anymore?
Well, it's like, why you want to kill your customers, man? That's how you make your money. Golly.
Yeah.
And then this hurricane in Florida's wild.
Yeah.
There's an entire island off the coast of Florida that is inhabitable now. Like,
Really?
think about that. It's completely gone.
Well, you chose to live on an island. That's the risk you took.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I don't disagree, but dang, man. Yeah, those like Florida's a ticking time bomb,
Hmm.
like all the time.
Hmm.
I'm surprised they don't get more.
You couldn't pay me to live there.
Oh, it's so gross,
Mm.
humid.
So humid. There's,
Mm.
what is it? Crocodiles, alligators. Just, it's so humid.
Yeah,
I've only been there a
dude,
couple
there's
of times.
sharks and alligators. Probably not now that the water's subsided, but when all those towns were flooded after the hurricane, there's fucking sharks and alligators cruising down the streets. Fuck that. God damn. Like you survived this fucking hurricane and now there's a
You're
goddamn
gonna fight off
alligator.
sharks and
Yeah.
alligators.
Jesus. No thanks.
Oh, no, thank you.
What time is it? Well, it's probably about time to wrap this deal up.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? How's your mom? She good?
She's good. She's getting a PET scan today. They're just
Mm.
checking she hasn't had one of those in a while to make sure they can check and see if things have spread. But she's doing good.
All
She's
while we hit our vape pens.
sorry, mom.
She's probably like, you guys are idiots.
Yep, she does every time I'm with her. Fucking stop. I'm like, I quit cigarettes.
Yeah. Plus, like I said last week, my mama didn't raise no quitter.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Oh,
Well, good chat, Janelle West Coast.
you too. Have a great week.
Yeah, you too. Oh, so we'll obviously talk off air, but we're gonna have to figure out when to record next week because I'm going to Arizona on Wednesday. I'll be back Saturday, but I'm going down there to do a podcast with
Oh,
there's I guess you'd call it a company. It's called Under the Shield. This lady started it, and I'll tell more about it. I'm gonna kind of save some info till we do our next podcast together, and I'll talk about what I did in Arizona. But she started this company, and basically what she does is she goes in. We'll take like in the city of Emporia. The police department will retain her, hire her, and then she deals with mass casualty incidents or even just a single incident where an officer's involved in something that's traumatic. And what she's really just trying to help officers that are become suicidal or
Mm.
anything like that, because you know how that job gets. So,
Mm-hmm.
and suicide amongst officers right now is through the roof, and so she started this company, and she now employs like current police officers, retired police officers. They go through her course. It's like a coaching course, and then they'll distribute, or they might give you an officer to coach who has suffering from PTSD or suffering from a traumatic incident or who's suicidal, and we're just trying to help them, not kill themselves.
So
So
are you going to be a coach?
yeah, that's the route we're headed. You'll have to listen to this podcast. You're going to hear some things you've never heard before about me, which is it's pretty wild. But yeah, I think that's kind of the end goal, is to be a coach for them. They're kind of right now. I mean, they will help in other states, but it's kind of just in Arizona. I'd like to bring it to Kansas and Missouri and start getting into some of these departments. And you can also, like, they'll go out and they'll give lectures to different departments to try to teach them how to cope with certain situations. So I'll have to go through their training and all that stuff, and just kind of get trained up on it. But yeah, I think I'm going to become a coach, but first I have to tell my story. So that's what I'm going down there to do.
Well, that's exciting. I'm anxious to listen and hear.
Yeah, I'm dying, really, to be honest with you, to go down there so I can see how their podcast is set up, like how
Mm.
they're recording,
Mm-hmm.
how they're editing, just like that's what I'm excited about.
That's awesome.
Try to get the inside scoop so we can make ours better.
Yes. So you're leaving this Wednesday?
I'll fly
Okay.
out Wednesday morning and then I'll be back Saturday night.
Okay.
So
All
So
right.
stay tuned, folks. I'll let you guys know when that podcast is up. So,
All right.
all right, I'll talk to you
Have a good
soon.
week.
All right,
Okay.
you too. Bye.
Bye.